all of you to Book Talk. I welcome all of you to school.
Hello, I'm Sarah. Welcome to Book Talk. Today we shall be discussing Cinder by Marissa Meyer. Cinder is the first installment in the Lunar Chronicles. The next book is Scarlet, then Cress. Fairest is, I believe, a novella, and then this year, Winter is coming out. Winter is coming. Cinder is a dystopian Cinderella. The main character, Cinder, is a mechanic in New Beijing after World War IV, and she's a cyborg. The reason I was so hesitant to read this series is because I'm like, ooh, cyborg, ew, no, ugh, okay. I like sci-fi, but I prefer watching sci-fi movies or TV shows because I find it's harder to explain the science in books. Like, I like Star Wars, but the actual Star Wars books I find are harder to read because it's just a little weird. But cyborgs in this world are not like robot humans. Domo arigato, Mr. Roboto, domo. Cyborgs are kind of like disabled people with like prosthetic legs or something. Like if your leg was cut off for some reason, you would just get a robot leg and you'd be a cyborg. You also get this panel and chip in your head or something. So I'm not even gonna explain that, it's too complicated. There are Cinderella parallels in it, but it's really Marissa Meyer's own story. It's completely different from the Disney fairy tale we all know and love. There are also people that live on the moon and they're called lunars, and there's this evil queen called Queen Levana. They have science-y powers where they can control people's bioelectric fields. It's kind of hard to explain. And there's this plague, ledumosis, that's killing everybody, and it's terrifying, and you need to find an antidote to that and stuff, so. This book was amazing. It's been a really long time since I have read a book that I really couldn't put down. I just had to be reading. I had to know what happened next. It was super interesting. It didn't really have any dull or boring parts. It was an easy to read writing style. The characters are super fun and sassy. The stepmother and stepsister, they're evil. That is the end of the non-spoilery section. If you have not read this book yet, please go and read it, and then you can come back and see the rest of this video because it is such a good book and I can't wait to talk to you about it. So goodbye. Goodbye. Bye, non-spoilery people. And so the story begins. I was grabbed immediately. Like, I just got real into it real fast. I loved meeting Kai at the very beginning of the book, so you could really see his and Cinder's relationship develop. Aiko was interesting. I did love her, but she was sort of on the borderline between robot and human. I know it's like a big thing that cyborgs are human too and stuff, but robots, Aiko just had so much of a personality that I half wondered if she was a cyborg. I liked her. Even though they tend to be boring, I did want a few more descriptions of the world because I didn't really understand it. It was kind of confusing until like the junkyard when stuff was actually being explained, but that's okay. It's okay. When the woman had the spots on her and then everybody's like, run for your life! Everybody scatters and they set the place on fire and just it was a mixture between terrifying and a little bit comical just because of how panicked everybody was, but it makes sense. Then we get in the junkyard. We talk about the car that looks like a rotting pumpkin. But then Peony gets sick, and it was kind of hard to be really sad because I didn't know her that well, but still. I was surprised that not everybody noticed that Cinder was Princess Celine immediately. When Cinder finally talked about the Lunars, it was like, okay, yeah, you're obviously a Lunar. I knew she was immune because she wasn't just gonna die right then. Then Cinder was describing Princess Celine. Vague enough to be suspicious, but detailed enough to obviously be important. It made sense that Cinder was Princess Celine because that would solve some of the conflict and it would move the story along. It would set a goal for her character later on in the story. That's why it made sense to me that she was Princess Celine. Not everybody saw that. I cried when Adri drafted Cinder. Adri. So mad.
No.
No, you... Cinder was just so shocked that she would actually go through with something like that. I don't know how I feel about Dr. Erland. He was kind of realistic because he had done bad things, even though he was still a good guy overall, and I think that he would be a good father figure for Cinder, and she really needs that sort of guidance right now with all the crazy that's going on. He's just a very suspicious character. The whole panel thing that Garen put in Cinder's head was a little bit confusing. It was kind of weird. Like when she was at the protest, did her cyborg self save her, or was it the panel that saved her? It was the lie detector, but I thought that was part of her like original cyborgness. Like other people who had that same stuff in her head would have been able to do the same. When Kai and Torn were talking about marriage and how Kai had just like kind of given up on love or whatever, in my head it was just,
and then I saw her face. Now I'm a believer.
it was so cute. I loved it so much when Kai asked Cinder to the ball. Cinder, why are you saying no? Why are you saying no? Is anybody else just anxiously waiting the entire book for the ball part to come? Come on, just get to the ball part. As you're reading it, you're looking for the similarities to the Cinderella story you know. I was trying to figure out who the like fairy godmother was. It could have been Cress. When Cress mentioned Sybil being her guardian, I was half hoping that Sybil was actually kind of a good guy in a weird way. It would be an interesting twist to the story, but no. I love how all the countries are like united. They're like all friends and allies, because with that crazy evil queen, you're gonna need all the help you get. The plague was really realistic. Everything in this book was, it seemed possible. Like there was nothing in it that seemed too far-fetched, except maybe the Lunars having powers. That part confuses me. I know it's supposed to be science and stuff, but controlling bioelectric currents or whatever, I don't understand how that's science. How can you be born with an ability like that? It seems kind of magic-y to me. I knew that the Lunars were behind the sickness, and I thought that they like had like a cannon or something, and whenever somebody said something bad, but the queen, they're like, okay, you next. Directing evil plague germs at you. But Queen Lavanna was a classic, awesome villain. She did her job well, but I don't think that makes sense. Lavanna was a good villain. I really wanted to know more about the Lunars. They just didn't make sense, and I'm hoping I can gain more information about them as the series progresses. It was really sad when Peony died. I wanted to hear more from her. But I cried even harder when Adri melted/killed Aiko. Thank goodness the chip was still there, but those were Cinder's only friends, and now they're both dead. I really, really didn't like the cutting of the wrist. That just makes me really squeamish. Like if it were in the gut or something, I'd be fine. But the wrist, I'm like, ooh, ew, ew, ew. It's really detailed. Wrists. Kind of like in movies when I see somebody slitting somebody else's throat, I'm like, but if they're like being stabbed, I'm like, oh, it's fine. I don't care. It's fine. It's just a movie. I loved when Kai came and he's like, why haven't you been answering any of my comms? Cuteness overload. I thought the gloves were actually a really thoughtful gift. It meant that he paid attention and like accepted that she didn't like to show her hands. Ugh, Pearl. I threw my Kindle when I read about the thing. But Cinder's comeback to Pearl's like, oh, he doesn't like you, was just great. The mocking light died in Pearl's eyes. No, he's the prince, and if he knew the truth about you, he wouldn't have given you a passing glance. Resentment flared in Cinder's chest. She leveled Pearl with her own glare, which is about as much as he gave you, right? Ooh. Cinder sass. Cinder out. I was kind of panicking. It was basically the time of the ball, and Cinder was still not going. Then Cress called, and yes! So Cress showed up in the first book, and I was kind of wondering if Scarlet or any of those characters had showed up. I wondered if Scarlet's grandma had watched Cinder before she like had that operation when she was 11, like her past that she couldn't remember. I knew her grandma was missing, and I was wondering if maybe the Lunar Queen or like one of her minions had gone after her because she had watched Cinder. Also with the wolf hybrids that you learn about in the conference, whatever that was called. I wondered if Wolf from Scarlet was like a wolf hybrid from the moon. Theories, you heard them here. I've started it's not called Cinder. I've started Scarlet. I'm not very far yet, but it hasn't proven my theory wrong yet. It hasn't proven it right, but it's not wrong yet. I was really sad when the car crashed, because she just spent so much time and effort on that. It just crashed. All of that work. retcon? Does it foreshadow your hopes and dreams? Because I think it does. That was uncalled for, Sarah. That was uncalled for. It was really, really hilarious and awkward when Cinder was announced at the ball. Like, she's just, her hair's all messy and wet, and she has grease stains all over her, and her dress is dirty, and just, she's trying to sneak in so nobody will know she's there, and that doesn't really work out. Please welcome to the 126th annual ball of the Eastern Commonwealth, a personal guest of His Imperial Majesty, Lynn Cinder of New Beijing. Yeah. Not good. Not good at all. Pearl just screams and Cinder's all panicking, and then Pearl says, "She's wearing my boots! Those are my shoes, and she's wearing them!" And then when Cinder and Kai are talking, and she thinks that he knows that she's a cyborg, and I was like, no, this conversation is not going to end well. It's not going to end as understanding as that. But still, come on. No. Ouch. Look at that. I've been impaled. That kiss, I've been waiting for it, and it was unsatisfactory. Kai, you need to kiss her back. Excuse you. I felt like that argument with Queen Lavanna just lasted forever, even though it didn't really. So much tension, so much drama, so many, like, different directions it was going. As much of a sap as I am for, like, true love conquers all and whatever, and, like, has no boundaries, I think Kai reacted reasonably. I hope that he's going to be able to overcome his disgust with Cinder. He better, or else I'm gonna have a talking to with him. I love stupid sacrifices for love, but this was not one of those moments, and well, I got my wish. He still kind of defended her and didn't want her to be killed because he was just so confused, and he's like, no wait, I loved her before, and now that I know all this new stuff about her, I just need to think it, but you can't kill her now because I don't know if I can accept it yet. And then Cinder was just lying helplessly on the stairs. Oh, poor thing. But Kai held her foot. It said he was clutching her foot, the one that fell off, the robot foot, not like her skin foot. That would be weird. That is significant. It means he still loves her. I don't care what you say. Kai's just confused. He will come around, I'm sure of it. I really want to know what Cinder looks like after she lost control of her powers and goes all glamored up, because she doesn't look like the queen. I just want to know what happened. Tell me what she looks like. Oh, she's too beautiful to describe. No, that's not an answer. That's avoiding the answer. Notice that you have no Kai points of view when he's around Cinder. And I kind of wanted it, but it makes sense because Cinder is the main character, even though you do get Kai's point of view, which I thought was great. There weren't enough Cinder and Kai moments, but they were like the best parts of the book. There are only 15 pages left in the book, and Cinder still has to escape jail, and marry Kai, and take back the throne, and get control of her powers, and I was disappointed with the ending. It wasn't really an ending for me. No, that's not the ending! We just end. Over. Done. That's all, folks. But she finally found out that she was Princess Celine, and that's kind of scary. No, that is terrifying. When you're a kid and you see teenagers do all of this cool, important stuff like Mia from the Princess Diaries. When you're a kid, teenagers are like adults except cooler. Once you're 15 or 18 and you realize that they're your age when they did all of this stuff, you really understand why they were panicking. It's just like, yeah, I would die. I expected the first book to basically have the same Cinderella storyline, but still be different because it took place in a different world. And then the next book would be a different set of characters either at the same time or kind of in the result world or universe after the first one had just ended, and just be that entire storyline. Like the next book would just be the entire Red Riding Hood storyline and so on. But no, it's Cinderella's storyline, and then it doesn't finish. There's no happily ever after. It just keeps going into the other books. But Africa, that's interesting. Dr. Erland, how the heck is she supposed to get across 2 continents by herself? She is 16. She's a little girl. Yes, I'm about to leave for Africa, but I'm not taking you with me. You can find your own way. I'm not going to give you any help whatsoever. Except, you know, the door staying open. I would not recommend seeing the book trailers because they're really... A girl who's a mechanic, who has special powers she never even knew about. A prince, not prepared to rule his kingdom or fall in love. A beauty. The basket case. A jock. has that like early 2000s Barbie teenage movie music, an epic tale. Doesn't sound like it. Weird voice. But as I said, I really love this book and I cannot wait to read the other ones. Please do not spoil me on what happens later on the series. I don't like being spoiled at all. Please don't. Please, please, please. That is the end of the book talk. Thank you for watching. Please like this video if you liked it. Comment below any other thoughts you had on Cinder. But please, please, please don't spoil me. Please. And subscribe to my channel to see more of my videos. Goodbye. And by the way, I helped participate in this video project wishing Hilly Hindi, one of my YouTube idols, happy birthday, and I'll put a link down to that in the description because it is just, it's so good. I'm excited about it. I thought it turned out really well. I feel like the personified, like, human version of Aiko. Once the inevitable war starts with Luna, it's just all the earth and country should just be like, we're all in this together. I'm normal, I swear. I'm so excited for Cress. Like, it's unbelievable how excited I am. Part of this might be because I've always liked Rapunzel because, Scarlet is from the place, that one. She's from Europe. Yep, she's from France. I keep imagining her like Belle. She's not Red Riding Hood in my head. I think this is how people wear their hair in the future.
I'm in love. I'm a believer. I could leave her if I tried.
Having a mental breakdown is not on my list of things to do today. Me neither.